Sephora, how can I help you? Your name
Hi,
is Sephora.
hi Sam. How are you?
All right. Your name is close to my daughter's. It's probably the same, but you spell it differently. My daughter's is Zipporah. Your Sephora. I
It's
think
the
it's the same.
same.
Yeah, I figured.
It's Moses'
Sephora.
wife, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. What's your question, Sephora?
I have quite a few. So you kind of touched on a few of them, but I'm studying Revelations.
To what?
Is there a difference between the rapture and the second coming? Are those two separate events?
No, they happen at the same time. The rapture is when the Christians on earth, like you and I, if we're around, are transformed, and we're caught up to meet him in the air. That's why if you read it says in the air, not in heaven. So we meet him in the air, and the Lord then will destroy the wicked by fire, purging the earth, and we come down to reign with him. There is no, you go up to heaven, wait there, and then come down. The Lord's coming to the earth, and we being caught up to meet him is the same event, one and the same. I know it's very popular among Baptists.
I'm not a Baptist.
To say the rapture is a separate event from the second coming. It's not biblical. I used to believe that, but it's not biblical.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because when I'm reading Matthew 24,
the same Matthew 24 we read where it says, after the tribulation of those days, that's when he'll gather the elect?
Yes.
That's after the tribulation, not before.
Yeah, but it seems to me over here that they're in Matthew 24 that they're describing two separate events.
How is it separate when it's after the tribulation?
So, Matthew 24, when the apostles, when the disciples asked him, and they said, and what will be the sign of your coming?
Coming to do what?
Of your coming.
Coming to do what? You didn't answer the question.
I'm assuming the rapture.
No. See, you assume too much and you read too much into the text. That's not the context. The context is the sign of your coming to destroy Jerusalem and the temple. Have you read the verse, Matthew 24?
Yes.
It's about the buildings that they're in awe of. And what did Jesus say? Not one of them will remain standing. That's why they ask. So coming to do what?
To destroy the temple.
Okay. Did that happen in 2023 or in the year 70 AD?
70 AD for sure.
There you go.
And then at the end of the age. So
what age?
The great day of the Lord.
Nope. You're reading too much into that. The age of what? Age of the Old Testament era. The age of Jerusalem. Because when he destroys the temple and the city, that's a sign. The Old Testament era age has ended. It's done with. It's over. God has now rejected Jerusalem and the temple as his dwelling place, because now God dwells in the church, because we are the living temple of God.
So followed by that, is that what that's referring also? Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying I'm the Christ, and will deceive. This is after 70 AD.
Well, it's not after. It's going to be events leading up to 70 AD. And even in the time of the apostles, there were false claimants who claimed to be prophets and messiahs. In fact, you even have false prophets in the book of Acts that the apostles are condemning, like Bar Jesus, Elimas Bar Jesus, a false prophet.
Yeah, I understand that there's a lot of false prophets, but I guess
it's about events leading to 70 AD.
And then it says the Great Tribulation.
Yep. And what's the Great Tribulation?
When the abomination of desolation spoken by
What's
Daniel.
That? Abomination of desolation.
The man of lawlessness, the abomination of desolation.
You read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 into Matthew 24:15. Man of lawlessness is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Matthew 24:15 is the abomination that makes desolate, as Daniel mentioned. So you took one passage and assumed this is the same referent in this other passage. Too many assumptions.
No, I'm reading from Matthew 24 still.
Can you show me the word man of lawlessness in Matthew 24?
No, not man of lawlessness. It's
exactly.
Abomination of desolation.
From 2 Thessalonians chapter 2.
Okay.
See what you did again?
Yeah.
You're taking too many passages, too many verses, and garbling them up, thinking they have the one and the same reference. The abomination that makes desolate is not the man of lawlessness in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. The abomination that makes desolate would refer to the pagan army of Rome under Titus coming and defiling the temple by destroying it. Because that's going to happen in 70 AD, not at the second coming.
Okay.
You see? You with me there?
Yeah, no, I'm reading it.
Because that's the reference to Daniel 9:27. And then in 9:27 is where it talks about a week, which is 7 years. And that has nothing to do with the second coming. That has to do with the period between 66 to 73 AD, the Jewish war that lasted 7 years. And in the midpoint, the temple is destroyed, stopping sacrifice. See, there's a lot of assumptions being brought into these passages by dispensationalists.
I don't know what a dispensationalist is.
That's your view. The view you hold is called dispensationalism.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just reading and I'm trying to understand the differences.
Yep. So coming back to what you said, you thought there are two events in Matthew 24. Where did you get the two events from?
Well, because
there's a rapture and then the second coming. Where did you get that?
Well, I assume that the coming was the rapture and the end of the age was like a second coming. Maybe I heard that somewhere, and even looking at it with those lenses.
let's assume the coming is the rapture. Where did you get that the coming is the rapture, and that's different with the end of the age? It's one and the same coming taking place at one and the same time. You have to separate the two. Why? Where does the text say to separate the two?
No, it doesn't say.
See?
And then over here it says, do you understand what for wherever the carcass is, the eagles will be gathered together?
Yep. What does he mean by that?
I'm asking you, what does he mean by that?
When you see eagles hovering,
mm-hmm.
What is that a sign of?
Death.
That means there's a dead body, right?
Death, yes.
And the eagles will then descend and devour that dead body, right?
Yes.
So what the Lord is saying is you can discern when you see eagles hovering that there's a dead carcass somewhere that they're going to feed off of. So you should then be able to discern from the signs that I'm giving you that the end of the age, the destruction of Jerusalem, is near. That's his point. So when I see eagles hovering, there's a dead body somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus says, when you see these signs, no, the Lord is coming to destroy Jerusalem. It's very close.
Okay, so then following 32, is that the same era?
It's all the same period, culminating with the destruction of Jerusalem. That's why it says, this generation shall not pass away until all these things are fulfilled. The generation that will be witnessing the signs leading to the destruction of Jerusalem, they did not pass away. They did see it.
Okay.
Right? Because it says in Matthew 24:34, this generation shall not pass away until all these things be fulfilled. The generation witnessing the signs leading to destruction of the temple, right? Because that's how it started in Matthew 24.
I was thinking the generation of the fig tree or the rebirth of Jerusalem.
And where does the fig tree refer to the rebirth of Jerusalem?
Yeah. So that generation.
Nothing, because of the people reading into the fig tree as a reference to Jerusalem. When the fig tree, what he means is when you see that the fig tree is about to blossom, then you know the season for figs is at hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he means. When you see these signs, then you know the destruction of Jerusalem is at hand.
Okay.
So when I see, for example, on the fig tree, I see what's called taksh. That's knobs, right around harvest season. That tells me that this fig tree is going to now produce figs. So the taksh on the fig tree is a sign this is about to produce figs. What his point is, when you see these signs, just like if you see a sign that the fig tree is about to blossom, then you know harvest is near, right?
Yes.
So when you see these signs, know that the end of the age is near. The destruction of Jerusalem is near.
Sorry to cut you off. Was that the coming of the kingdom?
Yes. Christ begins, the coming of the kingdom is that the Messianic Kingdom begins at Jesus' ascension, exaltation, and the sign that he's ruling and his kingdom is at hand and he's established it is the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Because even Daniel, if you read it carefully in Daniel 2, 34 and 35, and Daniel 2, 44, 45, it says the kingdom of the Messiah will be established during the reign of those empires, meaning Babylon, Medes, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Where you're told by Daniel that the Messianic Kingdom will be established during their reigns, during the time when these successive kingdoms are flourishing. And that's exactly what happened. Jesus begins reigning during the reign of Rome. Daniel 2, 34, 35, 44, 45. That's the stone made without human hands that smashes the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw. And that stone is the kingdom that God establishes during that period, during that time. So that means the kingdom of God was established when Christ showed up, and when he ascended to sit on the throne, he began his messianic rule, and the sign that he's now ruling is that he destroyed Jerusalem and the temple, which is a sign he gave, because you rejected me, I'll reject you and the temple. Right?
Yes.
Any other questions on this?